Fortnite is releasing Chapter 7 in a few days, and there have been some amazing seasons, and some not so much. But what would make Chapter 7 perfect? To answer this question, we need to consider the three aspects of what usually makes a good season or a good chapter. First, the gun meta needs to be balanced. Second, it needs what I like to call good usables, meaning that the movement and healing items are enjoyable and fair. And lastly, the map has to be good. Starting with the gun meta, the most important thing that Fortnite needs to get right in the gun meta is shotguns. For the shotgun meta, I personally prefer when there is a pump and an auto, but Fortnite usually likes to include at least one other shotgun that has a gimmick of some sort. Starting with the pump, I think the main pump shotguns in the last two chapters have both been pretty fun, the hammer pump and the sentinel pump, and I'm hoping they continue in this trend. What made these shotguns so fun was that they had really fast equip times and really tight spreads. The hammer pump was too weak though due to the low damage output, and some people think the sentinel pump was a little too strong due to the structure damage it did. So I think a pump with the damage of the sentinel and the structure damage of the hammer and keeping their quick equip time, faster reload time, and smaller spread would be a perfect pump with the direction Fortnite seems to be going. Moving on to the auto shotgun. I think something similar to the Chapter 3 auto shotgun would be a good fit, as it has a little higher DPS than the TAC, but doesn't do too much where it would be annoying to fight against. It also would be good if they made it reload one bullet at a time, as that should be the standard for all shotguns in my opinion. The one crucial thing about auto shotguns that Fortnite has gotten right recently is they can't do too much structure damage, as it makes these auto shotguns way too spammable. Personally though, I dislike how a lot of the auto shotguns look, like the auto shotgun, the twin fire, and the drum shotgun, and hope they head more in the direction of the TAC, the Maven, or the Frenzy auto from a visual perspective. These guns are just more colorful and a little more cartoonish, and the louder shooting sound effect would be good as well, as this makes the gun more satisfying to use. The final shotgun is the shotgun that has some sort of gimmick, like the charge shotgun, the ranger, the oni, the pump and dump, and so on. I don't love these shotguns usually, but generally they aren't overpowered and just clog the loot pool a little, so as long as they stick to this trend, it should be fine. Also, skip to this point on screen if you don't want any spoilers, but apparently there was a leak that one of the shotguns will be called the Gambler shotgun, and I hope this will be the third gimmick shotgun and not the main pump or TAC. If this leak is true, please don't make the damage random and make the gambling effect that it could randomly heal you for a percentage of the damage you do with it sometimes or something like that. It will be so frustrating to roll the lowest value and hit for 60 and then get one punk when you should be winning the fight. Can you imagine how infuriating that would be? Moving on to the AR meta. At this point, it is all but confirmed that Hitscan is coming back for ARs next season instead of Bullet Drop, so the one thing is that hopefully there are not scoped ARs, or if there are, they're not too overpowering. These Hitscan scoped ARs are very easy to use, and from a competitive aspect, they make Storm Surge trading way too easy. Most of the AR metas have been good in Chapter 6, with guns like the Fury, the Hammer AR, the Collateral, and the OXR Rifle all being balanced ARs that all had different ways that they shined. But the Hollow Twister AR and Striker Burst AR were both really strong while they were in the game before being nerfed, especially in competitive due to their scopes. Skip to the timestamp on screen if you don't want any spoilers, but there have been leaks for the ARs in Chapter 7, with the Enforcer AR from Chapter 5 returning alongside the Deadeye AR, which looks like it's the original AR with the scope, so hopefully that's not too powerful. For SMGs, as long as the SMGs they include aren't overpowered like the original Stinger SMG or original P90, then most guns should be fine. But my one request for SMGs is that the damage drop-off isn't too bad, so you can justify carrying it as your only spray weapon, and not also need to carry an AR. Another crucial aspect of the weapon meta is that there are no melee weapons, at least not in ranked and competitive. As someone who plays builds and likes the building mechanics, melee weapons like the Typhoon Blade, the Kneecapper, the Chainsaw, and the Nitro Fists are always low skill weapons that make the playing experience worse as they often negate any building that you do. I would prefer no melee weapons in general, but at least not in competitive game modes, as they remove the skill aspects of the game. I also think that from a competitive and ranked aspect, there should not be any snipers. Snipers are extremely polarizing, especially in a battle royale where you only have one life, especially in solos, where your game could just instantly end getting headshot sniped, and there is very little you can do about it. Snipers are a little bit more understandable in pubs, since it's not meant to be as competitive as a game mode, but it can really ruin the ranked and competitive experience. One other mechanic in Fortnite that I think is really fun and makes seasons better is some sort of weapon upgrade machine. Whether that's from materials, gold, or some sort of collectibles like the gears in Chapter 2 Season 6, which actually was not a bad season at all. I will defend this till I die. Using these to upgrade your weapons usually makes for a fun and memorable season. Some of my favorite memories in Fortnite was running around the lobby with my friends where we could all upgrade our shotguns to purple pumps. This would also make it so there wouldn't be as much of a loot discrepancy, as anyone could upgrade their weapons as long as they collected the necessary resources. Moving on to the usables meta. To start, I think Fortnite has done a good job with healing items for the most part in recent chapters. My one request is no legendary slurp juices. They are so broken, and it almost feels like you have to kill someone twice when you are fighting someone with one of these. And the fights tend to drag on really long, leading to third parties. Other than that though, I think aside from the standard bigs and minis, Flowberry Fizz is always a welcome inclusion alongside some quicker heals like Chug Splashes or Pizza Party. I also really like the reworked Chug Jug too. The movement is something that is a little more hit or miss though in Fortnite. To make good movement items in Fortnite, it can't be too spammable or have too much invincibility where you can just run away with it infinitely, and it can't be too powerful against other players. But it does have to be strong enough to where it's worth carrying. Examples of movement items that are probably too spammable include the Oni Mask and the Mist Form, while the Shockwave Hammer and the Typhoon Blade are movement items that were way too strong against opponents. And a combination of these items are Shockwave Grenades, which is the ultimate bailout item in my opinion. 3 examples of strong but balanced movement items in Fortnite history include Crash Pads, the Kinetic Blade, and the Typhoon Blade, except without the melee attacks. These are a good combination of movement items that can launch you, give you dashes, or give a speed and jump increase while using the item, but wouldn't be too powerful. All of them make rotations around the map easier in pubs and are balanced movement items for competitive. Any movement items similar to these would be perfect for Chapter 7. It is also important to mention Medallions as well, as this is a pretty polarizing topic. I think Medallions should have a slight rework where it doesn't reveal your location on the map. As this isn't a massive difference for pubs, in competitive games, teams will sometimes drop the medallion if they don't want their location revealed, making it entirely pointless for them to even be in the game. The other huge issue with medallions is that they are often extremely broken. I think that 3 or 4 or 5 balanced medallions on the map would be good, and would make some POIs really exciting, but the key here is balancing. These medallions could be a speed medallion that increases your character speed by 25%, a jump medallion that increases your jump height by 50%, a medallion that heals your shield 1 HP for each second, similar to being in healing water, and simple stat increases like that. It would be a happy medium for players, where good players could definitely take advantage of these buffs, but they wouldn't be game breaking in the same way the Emma Frost medallion was, where it gave you wall hacks, or the aspect of agility medallion that gave you broken movement nobody else in the lobby had. Also, skip to this timestamp to avoid a spoiler, but it was leaked that boons are coming back, which I generally think are a good addition to the game. I think one cool idea for a boon could be a lucky boon, as I am sure there's going to be some sort of luck-based gambling element in the game, where this would let you roll the best outcome in each of these luck-based mechanics. The last aspect that Fortnite needs to get right is the map design. The first change to the map is please Fortnite, just make it 100% chest spawn. The RNG of off-spawn fights where you don't know if a chest spawns is so annoying and leaves the game up to luck, which nobody likes. If they wanted the same average number of chests to spawn, they could just lower the number of chests on the map and make them all 100%, which would be a really welcome change. Another important part of a lot of really good maps is a Tilted Towers POI. When I say this, I mean a really strong POI that is around the center of the map like Tilted, the Agency, Megacity, or Stark Industries, which is really fun to drop in for pubs. Usually this is some sort of city POI, and its inclusion generally creates very memorable seasons. Another thing that Fortnite has been doing well recently is mid-game objectives like the floating islands, bunkers, or forecast towers. While the forecast towers are a little too broken and competitive, these keep the pacing of the game going and gives you something to do in what is normally the boring part of Fortnite, the mid-game. It also has an interesting risk versus reward element, as you can often increase your chances of winning if you complete the objective, but gathers players so that you keep the action going on in each game. I really think the bunkers from the OXR season with lots of loot, mats, and exotic weapons was one of the best mid-game objectives we have ever had, and would love to see something similar come back to the game. Also, please stop with loud music for NPCs that you can't turn off. I actually cannot hear myself think when I'm at a POI with NPCs, and it is so obnoxious and distracting. Can you please just add an in-game setting to turn off NPC music in-game or something? This has been so annoying for so long, and the Donut Rain thing in the Family Guy season continues this trend. How is this still a thing? Also, skip here to avoid spoilers for Chapter 7, but it has been leaked that the storm will be shapes other than circles, which could be really interesting for the pacing of the game if applied properly, as it would maybe allow for better paced storms for people who land on different parts of the map. Another aspect that is important to a memorable season is that the POIs and biomes feel distinct. While Chapter 6's map was technically impressive, a lot of it did feel very samey, especially in Season 1, as many of the POIs felt pretty similar and there weren't too many different biomes. While this is easier said than done, and I have lots of respect for the artistic team at Fortnite, Nailing the feeling of distinct POIs and biomes can really make a season feel amazing and great to look back on. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a very cartoonish art style, which a lot of people want, including myself, as Fortnite does like to use the normal Battle Royale mode to display the capabilities of Unreal Engine with the map, and they have clearly been heading in the direction of more realistic graphics for each map. It is also worth mentioning a couple miscellaneous changes that people are really interested in. I know a lot of people really want the old movement back, which I personally don't really care for, but I think this is pretty unlikely if I'm being honest. One change that I do think would be beneficial is if they brought back the NA East server for competitive, since there is a much larger player base in that region, which would allow more people to play competitive. So here's hoping Epic is going to make the season similar to what I'm saying in this video, and honestly I'm pretty optimistic for Chapter 7. Also, if you're interested in how Epic could fix ranked in Chapter 7 with rank 2.0, click the video on the screen.